Well, I'm back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and the Reich is in desperate situations. I know we're on the, I was going to say deep in the Soviet Union. We penetrated into the Soviet Union, and we're not holding there very well. We have zero manpower in reserve. We are trying to evacuate. Well, these forces are the critical ones, but we are evacuating in many locations here. And we're going to see what we can hold. And hello, Daniel. Yes, I'm making this live. For those new here, they can hit, of course, subscribe. Everyone else, you can just hit that like button. Really do appreciate all of you. I don't know. Where should we send you guys? Not heavy flat, not enough infantry. Well, I don't. Headquarters area that we can. Where can we find fighting forces that we can cannibalize to good use? There's light infantry regiment there. We had been using you as an HQ down there. So let's get out of that. The useful unit. Okay. They've already quickly overrun that. Italy, yes, you can have as much metal as you like. There. Hello, Toy Jet. Not well. Yes, because we are not needing any of this reinforcement because we have no manpower to reinforce with. So put all of that building infrastructure. Thanks. And we've one down here. Very nice. Functionally, we will have one once we do that. That doesn't mean they can't re-invade, but don't know if how re-invading the allies will be on that. Yeah, they might do okay. Gas pilot training. Alright, I guess that's good. Now they want us, because we have all of this. Oh, manpower of 9. Wanting to do more reinforcement. Oh, that's good. What will win us the war? What technology could we get that will win the war? Won the battle up here? Yes, okay, good. Sort of want to hold these because of the fortifications. You can't hold the fortifications well. No. Here. Okay, good. We're holding down there. Out here, we're winning an Elite Commandos advance. Very nice. And again, we no longer need all this extra reinforcement. Upgrades, sure. Wise. I think that is... Yes, okay. That's good, but see, this can help affect a lot of... Do we want to go first? Not... Well, less soft attack, less hard attack, but a lot more defensive. Get us more soft attack. So, well, we'll go with... No, this will be better. Because this is defensiveness 1.2 for most units. I mean, there's some... Well, there's not so big, but we're here, we're just as 0.5. So half point. We one out here. Good here, I think. Good, good. Hello, Lawless. Hello, Martin. My voice is cracking. I'm probably going to get something for that here in just a second. Here, yes, this province. I was falling back. That dome. Yeah. I'm gonna get a Ricola and something to drink and be right back. So look at the pretty picture for a moment. I will return very quickly. Almost back. Does that mean I'm really back but not prepared? Yeah, more of that, I guess. Uh-huh. Hello, Road Manor. How you doing? Will we fight to the bitter end? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Oh, well, glad to have you in the bunker with me, I guess, but I'm not sure. Oh, we are. Damn, had a crash. Shouldn't have been zooming in and out as harsh. I don't know. Fuck. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm up to that. Hello, Arno. Well, actually, what I have here, and it is a fast load, I have it on a old hard drive, but after they became rather cheap, I bought an Optane drive. If you know what that is, it's sort of a pre-caching type drive. So once I've loaded it one time per start, booting up, all subsequent loads load faster. So it's really good. So the first time it's pretty slow, but it's fast to reload. So that is good. I really wish I had that in the early days of modding. Okay, well, if I had nukes, I would nuke Moscow. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit here. 1950. Well, if we're still around in 1950, we're doing a lot better than I expect to be. We should, one way or another, win it before 1950. Win or lose it before 1950. Historically, before I get back to replaying what we just did. Historically, and I know some people don't like some of these talks, but Hitler was a nut job, okay? He just was. That's quite apparent in a lot of his views. He has a lot of mystical views, and I'm not. Look, I don't have a solid answer on things, so I don't want to, it may come off as if, hello, Sun Tong, how you doing? Hello, Ikoki. Zero manpower. What's your plan? Lose slowly. That's the current plan. Is lose slowly. But Road Manor was saying, stay by my side in the bunker. Why did Hitler fight to the end? Why did he not try to run and hide? Jumping to Mussolini. I don't think Mussolini was trying to. I watched years ago a biopic on Mussolini. I've watched multiple documentaries on Mussolini and whatever. And I know more or less the circumstances of Mussolini's death, and if in case you don't know it, and I know I have a lot of really well-informed viewers, but I also know that I have a lot of this showed up and has been left here. new viewers, Mussolini, okay, I always keep stepping back and back to tell the full story. Mussolini, of course, is the dictator of Italy. There's a king above him, and below him there's a fascist Grand Council. The fascist Grand Council deposes, removes Mussolini from power, and he's immediately arrested and put in comfortable holding. I'm talking about the end of regimes in World War II here for the moment. And there's a lot of German units all over Italy at the time. And the Italians are rather worried about what the Germans are going to do, or what Mussolini loyalists, because the fascist Grand Council votes, the majority vote, to remove him from power. And that's because, not that they didn't like fascism, because they were fascists, it's because Mussolini has so bungled the war and has not been able to deal with how to get Italy out of the war, if you will. So they remove him. Of course, you know, Otto Skorzeny finds Mussolini. Well, there's several intelligence operations going in. They find Mussolini. Now there's one, you know, talking about spiritualism, there's one that was set up that was specifically trying to divine or douse or whatever where he was. The SS were, you know, had guys in a room in Germany somewhere trying to, you know, get, and my dad strongly believes in dowsing, so and I've seen enough to know that I don't know that it's all a bunch of I don't know that it's all just a bunch of hooey or nonsense, but I also think that people overthink or think these are overly effective or real or whatever. But so whatever. But so they find out where he is. They rescue him and take Mussolini back to Europe. Or not to Europe, back to Germany. And then eventually, because Germany is occupying sort of the northern half of Italy at the time, send Mussolini back to set up the Italian Social Republic. Again, if you want to claim that, fascism isn't socialism, what does Mussolini do? Set up the Italian Social Republic, a socialist republic. Not a Marxist republic, but a socialist republic. And it's very much of a puppet state of Germany at that point. I don't know why many of the Italians that fight for him continue to fight for Mussolini, and particularly Decima X, which was an elite naval commando unit. I don't know why they continue to fight. What are they trying to achieve in continuing to fight for Mussolini, whose own fascist Grand Council has deposed him? And it doesn't, to me, look like there's going... Now, maybe they thought, oh, well, the war is about ready to turn the tides on the Allies, and we're going to retake Rome, and we're going to push the Americans out of Italy, and Germany's going to release its super duper tigers, and they're going to charge to Moscow, and realize a lot of this is going after Rome has fallen, And remember, Rome falls, what is it, the day or 2 days before D-Day. So D-Day's happened. And, maybe in the early first couple of weeks, it might be, are the Germans going to be able to push them back into the sea or not? That might still be a bit of a question on people's minds. But really? Really? Okay. So why do they keep fighting? Maybe they think there's, a light at the end of the tunnel, that things are going to change. Maybe they thought there was no other option. I don't know. But they keep fighting for it. Fair number of them. This unit here, the 29th, and I think it gets they use another 29th division disappears or something. I forget. Probably shouldn't talk about things I don't remember. Waffen Grenadier Division der SS. So it is not an SS division, but it's a division of the SS. A distinction there. Meaning that it is, I guess the best distinction is it's not considered an Aryan SS division by German SS logic. When you have der SS versus, let's find one out here. I think there's one. It's SS Police Division, which is sort of a weird. Here, so see here, it would be SS Panzer Division Das Reich. This would be a German. You also see that they use the SS for some of the Scandinavian units. So what Hitler thought? Yeah, we're going to get back to Hitler in a minute and his end. So Mussolini cooperates. I don't know why he does. Because to me, it's just prolonging the agony of your nation, if you will. Why prolong it? And again, jumping topics here. I keep saying, in the end, the good guys win. In the end, yeah. No, they don't, because there is no end. Say Germans because some accepted the war. So absolutely. No, I'm talking more about Hitler and Mussolini here, but there is, yeah. I don't know where this idea of in the end, or that there is no end. I don't, yeah, I know we could nuke the earth and kill everybody or something, so we could create an end. But I really don't believe, in a practical sense, in a general sense, that there's going to be in the end. It's just over time, events happen, okay? And if you're losing the war, there's going to be life on the other side of it. It's Italy's going to continue. Germany's going to continue, likely. Sometimes it is over the existential existence, the actual existence of something will be erased. Basically, the existence of Judea or Israel or whatever you want to call it was erased by the Romans, and the diaspora happened and it was removed. Now, there were still Jews living there, absolutely. And there were Jews all over the Roman Empire, absolutely. So, sometimes, and it doesn't come back as a Jewish state until post-World War II. So, sometimes you may be fighting because you have no other choice. And you're just doomed. But I don't see that as a case for Italy. They almost the Allies let the king stay in power. I think I don't know if it was required or they just decided, they held a plebiscite, and just barely, it was like 51-49 or even closer percentage than that. The plebiscite to remove the monarch happens. at some point after the fighting is concluded. I don't know if it was in 45 or 46. I don't know, but it's very, very shortly after the war. They hold a national vote, and the king loses, and he goes into exile. But that wasn't a hello, MNDB, how you doing? And hello, Crazy Warriors Cat fan, how you doing? So you have there's no like, if the Allies win, Italy's gone. No, the fascist regime is gone. And so but even the fascist regime was, I don't know what the end result of the fascist Ground Council thought was going to happen to them once they get rid of Mussolini, whether they thought they could stay in power in some fashion, or they were accepting going out of power, which which can mean execution. And this is where we're getting with Mussolini. And trying to avoid execution. I understand that. If you give an enemy, and I'm not talking like an individual person who's threatening you, but even there in a case, but if you're giving an enemy nation, no other choice. We are going to conquer you, we're going to imprison you, or kill you all. Then you're forcing them to fight. Okay, to the bitter end. And that does harden things. Now, so, getting more back to Mussolini, he's put in charge of the Italian Social Republic. Everything is collapsing. The Allies are sweeping up through Italy. Eventually, the Germans are collapsing down here. And Mussolini gets in a German, I think it's an SS convoy, at least there's some SS members there, but in a German convoy heading north through the Italian Alps. The convoy gets blocked, and by partisans, and the partisans say that they'll let the Germans go, but we want to inspect your convoy to make sure that there are no, doing air quotes here, traitors in your convoy. Basically Italians. They want to arrest all the Italians, the collaborators. And the Germans turn over Mussolini, or let them inspect, and they identify Mussolini in there and his girlfriend, Petacci. And they take them back and shoot them in the square and hang them upside down. The partisans do it. That was a mistake. I understand why people were upset with Mussolini in Italy. I really understand that, but that was a mistake. You should have held them. I know they might be afraid that a demand by the Western Allies to take possession of him, and that may or may not be, you may think he may get away with it, but he should have been tried in a proper court. And there may be a foregone conclusion that he's going to lose the trial, because whatever their charges are may be very true, and there may be plenty of evidence, but you still put him through a trial. So, hello, Robin the birdie. The War Thunder is tomorrow, Sunday. So the even if it's a foregone conclusion, you present your evidence in a court. Doesn't, I wouldn't say the Nuremberg trials were unbiased judges. No, they were biased, but I think they looked at the evidence. They presented the evidence. They went through the motions for the historical record. let a proper process play out, not a you know, I don't even know if there was a kangaroo court. I think they just shot Mussolini. So that was a mistake. So Mussolini was trying to save his life. He did not want to fall into the hands of the partisans. I don't know if he thought by fleeing to Germany he could somehow, whether it's live one more day or whatever that might be, another week or another month, or whether he somehow thought the Germans were going to turn the tables and win. No, I think it was as much about I don't want to fall into the hands of the partisans, and I totally respect that, because partisans are a mob. Hello, Aaron Patrick. And you don't want to fall into the hands of the mob. You never want to fall into the hands of the mob. So you may still die, but you want to fall into the hands of a reasonable situation, and so that's why So I don't know that Mussolini was fearing and running in panic and afraid and not willing to face his fate. He just didn't want to fall into the hands of the mob. Now, Hitler. Again, Hitler is what was my term that I was using before? Hitler has a lot of crazy ideas. His worldview there's a lot of mysticism wrapped up into it. There's I know I'm much more solid ground talking about Hitler than I am Mussolini. Just for those new around here, I once had a university course that was on Hitler. A whole university course. I don't mean a day. I mean a whole semesters long course. It was just on Hitler in university. So I'm much more solid ground on talking about Hitler than I am Mussolini. Yeah. I'm babbling. Sorry. So I know Hitler much better. So Hitler has these views. In a way, they're a Wagnerian, Richard Wagner, the composer of operas, a Wagnerian opera view of life. He had that when he was young, and it gets reinforced in World War I. He believes he has some sort of destiny to fulfill. He was arguing with someone about whether Hitler was a madman. Well, okay. Well, madman is a non-specific term, obviously, and what does that mean? I'm trying to be precise in my language here. Hitler has crazy views, okay? Unrealistic views, like a Wagnerian opera. Now, by the end, at some point, Hitler is delusional, okay? So before, like in the 1920s and 1930s, for the class on Hitler, the big thing you were graded on ultimately in that class was you wrote a paper on Hitler. Yes, I got an A in the course. And my study of was Hitler's rise to power. I mean, people studied different. There was only like 12 or 13 people in the course. It was a small course. My look at Hitler was his rise to power. Hitler understands reality from he understands what reality is. Now Hitler, shall we say, and this goes to people's, is why things happen in the world. Different people have different views on that. I think it's called The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, or something like that, because there's a couple of Munchausen movies. One made during the Nazi regime. That one is actually pretty good too. This is Terry Gilliam's movie, The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. I think that's the title, but it's very close to that. And one of the big themes is that there's sort of two competing viewpoints. I don't know if you go fabulism, that's sort of the extreme. Rationalism versus romanticism, and they don't mean the modern term of romantic as in love between two people, but the romantic movement. If you look at the 19th century, of the way, and the bad guy is a rationalist. Everything is rational. There's a rational explanation for everything. Rationalism. Nothing beyond basic rationalism. Basically, no God, no spiritual movements, no emotion, no. Hello. See you later. Okay, take a nap, Daniel. You can always catch this stuff later if you're interested enough. But I guess I'm not interesting enough to keep you up, or maybe you've been up late. So Hitler's not always rational or Hitler is definitely not rational in his views. Why things happen, and this, if you look at, say, the Middle Ages, people thought the reason things happened, like a famine, was because God was punishing somebody, whether them or some of their neighbors or whatever, and they just get caught up in it. They don't think it's just because of weather patterns. They think that there is and there's a lot of people to this day think that there is a reason, a big picture reason why everything happens in the world, versus rational is that it's just weather patterns. Now maybe it's somewhere in between. It's not all one or the other. There is a middle ground there. Why things happen. Hitler is definitely not a rationalist. Hitler is definitely not rational. Okay, but he's not delusional. This is like coming to power. He is not. How much of Hitler's mental deterioration can be attributed to his abuse of another substance? Oh, morning medicine. Okay, no problem, Daniel. I'm not offended. Just hope I'm being entertaining here enough. Absolutely. And I don't know, because you say his abuse. I would put. It's definitely overly abusive amounts. I will say, for sure, but I'm not going to say it was him abusing it. It was his doctors prescribing it to him and getting him hooked on the stuff. That is definitely part of it. I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or psychologist enough to know how much of that was contributing to it, but I will tell you the pressure of leading the war on anybody, Churchill, Roosevelt. I'm sure leading the war and making tough decisions during the war shortened Roosevelt life. Now he's already sick, he's in the wheelchair, and there's already things that are going to, shall we say, shorten his life anyways. But I'm sure that if he had been president during a relatively peaceful period of time, Roosevelt would have lived longer. So the pressure, and then the greater pressure, and then I know I've been just feeling it just playing this game with what, it's not because obviously I don't care about these people in here dying, percents of dying here so much because they're not real people, and two, they're not even a character like a general here that we have a name and a face to. They're just statistics. There are a lot of people that can do that with, they're just statistics, and I would put Stalin definitely in this case. They're just statistics to him. The people dying on the front, not now, maybe somebody that he knows dies, he cares. Like when his son gets captured by the Germans. The Germans capture Stalin's son. But to Stalin, in my evaluation, is he doesn't feel the loss of any of these people. I mean, hell, he does the Holodomor and other things. But that doesn't mean he doesn't feel pressure of, and he goes through, I would say, a mental breakdown as the Germans attack in the early stages. I'm not saying, but the pressure of winning and losing and making, major decisions really affects people like this. So I'm sure that is having an effect on Hitler as well. But I'm sure the drugs are. When's your next Heart of Iron stream going to be? I normally stream on the Hearts of Iron on Saturdays this time. So next Saturday. So yeah, Saturdays. You see you guys catching up. I'm just checking out the fair point. Morale was definitely purposely choose. Oh yeah, I don't know the doctor's names right offhand. With his position. Oh, absolutely. And so yeah, I've never gone deep into Hitler's drugs that he was being given, and I don't even know if there's good records on it. Hitler eats a normal, shall we say, German diet of his time period through his life, going through World War I, seeing all the death, and he saw lots of death and bodies being churned up in World War I. It's I think he finds it, but finds his, is it niece or cousin? I forget what, Gelly, who committed suicide. I believe his lover, but he was very controlling. Either way, he was super controlling of her. Whatever the real behind the, people are salacious, so I'm not sure on that. But finds after Gelly commits suicide, he basically goes vegetarian. There's a few meat dishes he occasionally eats, but he goes vegetarian fairly early on. This is before he comes into power. And diet will affect your mental state. I'm not saying vegetarianism is a bad thing in and of itself, though I do think humans are best balanced with a balanced diet, hence the words. So Hitler's very early on with dealing with some of these things. So it wasn't the rotting bodies of World War I that gets him off of meat. It's when Gelly commits suicide, he stops eating meat. So that affects him mentally. Thank you, Daniel. You too. Blitz. Yes. I've heard of the book, Aaron. Someday I may read it. It's probably a very good topic. It's just so much to read, so little time. And so Hitler, like I say, he's not rational. And not that I'm, because I'm not a total rationalist. I'm not on the every thing is just weather pattern. But I'm not going to go into because I don't have solid personal belief. Like this is what I believe to be true. I have an open mind about some stuff, though. I think a lot of people go way over the deep end for whatever reason. But Hitler's definitely out there in the deep end of belief and why things happen. And so, as the world is closing in on Hitler, yes, he is delusional. That is not a question in my mind. I'm not sure how delusional he is, though, because I truly believe he's got to be delusional. But I'm not saying that he is seeing things that aren't there, or hearing voices, that don't exist. But he is deluding himself, or is delusional about the realities of the situation he's in. Again, I don't know that, but I seem to remember some people talking about that, some of the stuff I read long ago, that at times Hitler just didn't seem coherent. And it wasn't just entirely because of his rages that he got in. And it's very well tied to some of the drug cocktails and other things that going on. Another one is, of course, Goering. Goering actually snaps out of it during the Nuremberg trials, and he's supposedly lucid self again, and really smart, bright, and personable and good. Now, of course, he's still evil, and they still need to put him to death. Not trying to, not a defense of him, but he gets out of his own drug induced stupor before the end. Hey, IKB, how you doing, my friend? So, why does Hitler keep fighting on? Well, he believes that he has a destiny to fulfill. He believes this down to his core. He believes this because of his experience in World War I, including him being not just wounded, but blinded, but then getting his eyesight back. I think at some point, I think he's told that it won't come back, but it does. So he thinks this is a miracle, or maybe he just, because we don't know what the doctor said to, him or whatever. We just have reports from him or whatnot. So you don't know what's entirely true or what he's just thinks is true. I'm not, just because of human memory, I'm not trying to slight or make any big statements there. What he thinks is true about that. And then all of the assassination attempts throughout his life, he believes he's guided by a higher power. And I think that's a good way to put it. I almost said divine. Well, I don't know if it would be a god or the god, because Hitler's definitely not a Christian. He is, but he believes, I think he's a neo-pagan. There's other people thinks it's more what was the term they were using, I forget the term that they were, another similar term, but he believes that there's a higher power guiding his destiny, and he believes firmly at its heart that he will be successful, because why else would this higher power save him from all these assassination attempts and other things in his life? And he totally believes that the reason he comes to power, in Germany, is because of this higher power. And it goes back to my earlier statement of why people believe things that happen, why things happen. See, I believe Hitler just had a feel-good message, if you will. I don't know if it's quite feel-good, but a feel-good message to a group of people who lost a war and who had gone through massive social upheavals. I get in trouble when I say things like this, but we can see this in modern politics, is when, hey, we're going to spend all this money and it's not going to cost the American taxpayers anything, and people really believe this. People print this in the news and expect other people to believe it, that we're spending $1 trillion+ instead of the $1.5 trillion instead of $3 trillion or whatever it is, and it's not going to cost the taxpayers anything. People believe this, and or people believe other people will believe this. Now, they may think the spending is all for good reason and good purpose. But, you know, putting out a feel-good message and people believing it. Maybe they do. I think it's because Hitler puts out a message to a people that were seeing, like I say, cultural and social upheavals in Germany. And he had the Messiah message. He had the give me power and I will solve your problems, and this will be the, you know, just in broad strokes will be the solution. So that's why I think Hitler comes into power, not because there is some greater power helping it out. I just think he's the person with the message that is acceptable. Okay, Martin, thanks for hanging out. So Hitler has this belief. That is why Hitler, to the very end, he has, as things start to close in on him, he starts channeling, if you will, or believing it's going to be just like Frederick the Great, because Frederick the Great at one time, I think it was 3 armies, or was it 4, were all pushing in on Prussia. Each one of these armies, one was like the Russian and one was the Austrian, and I forget was it Hanoverian army? I don't know. Was it the French army? No, it was the French army. They were pushing in on Prussia. And each one of these armies was equal to his own army, so these armies were just going to crush him. Well, he in turn moves his army and defeats all these armies and wins the day. At least enough to keep Prussia alive. So he starts channeling that as that's what's going to happen to me, because happened to Frederick the Great. It's going to happen here, and we're going to have, you know, and it's going to happen by wonder weapons. Well, so Hitler, that is why I put down is he thinks he has this divine guidance that's going to, I don't know, protect. We're going to help, is guiding him on his sacred mission, if you will. And at the end, now why does he commit suicide? Well, what's going to be the better option? Go on a trial like Goering and then get executed? Does he think he's going to get life in prison? Does he want that? Remember, he's also thinks life is a Wagnerian opera and would rather go out that way. So, that is why Hitler fights to the end. Now, why do the rest of the Germans fight to the end? Well, one, was it Casablanca or whatever, where they state that the Allies state that there'll be no conditional surrender. It'll be unconditional victory. So, like I said earlier, if you don't give your opponent an out, he's going to fight to the bitter end. Now, particularly in Germany's case, I think that is a very good idea, because you're not going to allow the Nazis to stay in power. But I think many, even Nazis, realized the war was lost. Why keep fighting? And, well, I would say it's these guys. It's the Soviets. It's the Bolsheviks' fault. Not the Russians. The Soviets are Bolsheviks. And they just thought that was going to be I don't know if unacceptable, because obviously East Germany and whatnot continues on. But there was another alternative. The West. It's not the Soviets are going to win, so they're going to take over. I think they fight because they want to delay the Soviet victory as long as possible, so there's victory in the West. Because the Germans have all experienced, at least all the generals, because you can find like Adolf Galland or a couple of other, I pointed out last week, it was at least one of the generals that was not a World War I veteran, but most all of the generals and a lot of the other higher ranking soldiers are World War I veterans, and most of, a good half or so of the rest of the leadership elements at least sort of grew up under sort of immediate post-war. If you're just 20 years old, okay, you were born in 1918, you don't remember, or 1920 or something, or 2025, 1920, 1925, those kind of years. Yeah, you don't remember what's in the first few years of your life. But if you were like 10 years old at the end of World War I or whatever, or you've sort of grown up in the post-World War I, you know that Germany is survivable if conquered by the West, if having to be, administered by the West, and it's more survivable. What I don't really get is their long-term, especially anything post the Ardennes offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. Before and up to the Battle of the Bulge, you may be believing that the wonder weapons, because you've seen wonder weapons, the Sturmgewehr, the V1 and V2 rocket programs. Now, you may think, because of German propaganda, they're being much more effective than they are, but you see these wonder weapons in action. You see the jets flying over the skies, the ME-262 and the rockets, ME-163. So you see the wonder weapons, and you think that maybe, but once that sort of fails, once you get to January 1945, I don't know why there's still significantly continuing fighting in the West, but there is. So is it possible to play in my country? Oh, if you're thinking railway empire. No, Arno, railways don't work underwater. Just don't. So nothing there. All right. Well, so that's why why I think Hitler fought to the end. Is he thought he was guided and protected and was going to have that, and he was delusional. Yes. Right. Okay, that's going to be the end of this episode, Why Hitler Fought to the End. We will be back next time with more actual gameplay. I know we started and had the crash. So thanks, everyone. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron.